Welcome to the Nursing Home Warrior Podcast. I'm Paulie Moran.
I'm Danielle Pagalotta-Sleebline. I always
You got it right this time.
I did. This week I got it right.
She should just say she is the Nursing Home Warrior.
I am the Nursing Home Warrior. So what do you want to talk about today?
We should bring Silver Threads out and the reason that Silver Threads needs to be done.
Okay.
You know, like you were telling me, people in nursing homes, most of them, 60%, 65% of them are on Medicaid.
Yes, they are.
And then they only get a very small amount of money every month to buy clothes, to, do things that make them happy that they would have normally done in regular life.
Right. So Medicaid pays for 100% of their living expenses and their medication and any kind of testing that they might need or hospitalization. But what they don't pay for is the stuff that we need your help with. They don't pay for maybe a fancy shampoo or maybe toothpaste and like a really good toothbrush, because I will tell you that the nursing home toothbrushes are kind of shitty. They also don't pay for clothing. They don't pay for extra food. So like there's a vending machine in the nursing home and somebody wants to get a soda, it's $3. Well, that's $3 a day. Most nursing home residents get about $50 a month from Medicaid. So that goes by pretty quickly. They also have to pay for their own haircuts usually, and that's probably $10 to $20. So there's no money for these residents to actually live. I mean, they're surviving, but they're not actually living. So by your donations, whether it be monetarily, you want to send us money, which you can get on my Facebook page, or you want to send us clothing, new or gently used, please. No dog or cat hair. What else do we find that's kind of upsetting to us?
We had got some like candle holders, mirrors.
Right. Yeah, that's not going to go to a resident because we're not giving them glass. We're not going to give a resident glass, and they don't need a candle holder. But your money goes to us so that we can provide these residents with something new. The other problem is that a lot of these residents don't have the ability to go to a store, so they're not shopping. So even if they did have an extra $20, $30, they're not going anywhere. They're not getting online. They're not purchasing it from Amazon. So most of these residents really have just what they walked into the nursing home with.
Yeah, and don't forget too, like what we forget is a lot of these people don't have families. You always think, I'll take care of my mom if she's in a nursing home. I'll bring her whatever she needs. But some of these people, they just have no family to bring them anything.
Right.
And like you said, haircuts. If somebody comes from the hospital and they have no clothes, do they sit in a hospital gown?
They usually do, and family will bring them clothing. But if they're a long-term resident, most nursing homes have like a closet of leftovers from residents that might have passed on, and we will recirculate those clothing. But again, they're not new. Everybody wants something new every now and again, right? Christmas comes, they're not getting presents. Father's Day, Mother's Day, their birthday, they're not getting gifts. So what we do is help provide these residents with a little bit of extra love so that they can feel that somebody cares about them.
In the extent they're going on with their life. This isn't the end of their life. It's, they still want to dress up. They still want to wake up in the morning, brush their hair, brush their teeth, have an agenda for the day. I'm going to go downstairs and see Nancy at the bingo table or whatever they do.
Right.
But, they want to look good still.
There's new legislation sponsored by the Senate Disabilities Committee that is now trying to push for an increase in that $50 a month, because that increase hasn't happened since the 90s. So it's time that we fight for also getting them more money.
So, but explain why the increase, because if Medicare pays for everything, the people still have to pay whatever money.
So Medicaid we're talking about.
Medicaid, I'm sorry.
Medicaid.
But the people, if they have any income, that goes to Medicaid? Well, if Medicaid's covering their stay.
They don't have any income.
Let's say they have Social Security coming in.
That's all going to the nursing home.
Right, so they don't get any money. They just
no
get
money.
That stipulation once a month from them.
Nursing homes can cost up to $19,000 a month, depending on what nursing home.
Depending on the level of your care.
Right, so your Social Security is probably not covering that, because if it was, you'd probably be home with home care.
Yeah, just be home.
Right. So they need that extra money or that extra bit of love because really, what are they doing with $50 a month?
No, you can't do $50 with a month for anything. And you said the original legislation goes back to 1988.
Yeah, and which is a long time ago. So it's time for them to
Yeah,
increase
compare
that.
prices from 1988 till now.
The vending machine at my nursing home, I actually grabbed myself a soda, a Diet Coke today, and I think it was $3.50 because I used my debit card. And I think if I didn't use my debit card, it would have been $3. How does a resident who gets $50 a month supposed to buy themselves a soda because they
Right,
want a
it's
soda?
just buying a Coke. It's not, you know.
Right, it's nothing great.
I did
Although
that too.
Diet
I
Coke
was in
is great.
CVS like a couple of weeks ago, and you go to CVS, you whatever it is, you put all your stuff on a thing. It comes out to $50, and you pay and you walk away.
Right.
And I just went there. My boss is like, "Oh, grab me a Coke." So I bought one soda. It was $3.25.
Yeah.
I'm like, when did soda get to $3.25?
Yeah, so your donations make a huge difference.
Big difference.
Not last week, but the weekend before, we finished the Rockaways, so there's no more nursing homes in the Rockaways that need to have a cozy box delivered to them. And I mean, we just have to decide, are we doing Brooklyn or the Bronx next? But we have about, I think, 10 boxes in my apartment right now.
Yeah, we did 10 the other day.
Yeah, so they're ready to go out.
I meant to bring the copy of that letter you got from the nursing home in the Rockaways, saying how happy the people were and how put such a big smile on the residents' faces to get some new clothes.
Yeah, and we're going to do the pop-up shop, hopefully
Yes.
in September. But we have a very special guest today who has not neglected his mother and has seen his mother, I think, every single day possible that he was able to see her. This is Mr. Ed Mullins, so welcome.
He's not on camera yet. We have to
I know.
adjust.
We're going to just... Okay, do it.
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to go for a break.
We're going to hear from LifeVac, our wonderful sponsor.
Hi, I'm Arthur Lee, CEO and inventor of LifeVac, a simple choking rescue device that 13 years ago was made in my garage to protect my daughter.
Now, all of these lives have been saved thanks to LifeVac. Over 4,000 lives and over 2,000 kids. But still, a child dies every 5 days from choking.
Please, our family is everything to us. Consider protecting your family in a choking emergency with LifeVac. Go to lifevac.net today.
Thanks, Dad.
So we got that straightened out. Welcome, Ed. He's here.
Thank you.
He's our guest this week. His mom's in a long-term care facility, and she's fortunate because he's there every day to take very good care of her.
I try. It's not something you can do on your own.
Tell us about your mom before she got to the nursing home. Like, paint us a little bit of a
Okay,
picture about
so,
her.
and this is something that a lot of people should understand, is that, first of all, we talk about nursing homes as, a place where there's old people and they're disabled. But there's a day in their life where they had a normal life, and it just changes like that, split second. My mom's life changed in a matter of 24 hours. I was out to lunch with her the day before. The next day she had a stroke, and her life has never been the same since. She lived with me for nearly 10 years to the point that I was unable to take care of her anymore. And
After the stroke.
After the stroke, right. So you got to remember that they went about their lives. They went out to dinner. They went to events. They've seen a lot of what we see every day. There are people just like us that are given, doing a show right now. And then their life changes. And it gets to a point where you have to make a decision. I'm lucky. My mom's 96. So you're making a decision, what should I do? And you don't really want to put them in a nursing home, but you know that you can't do it anymore. And you try to find what's the best solution to the whole thing.
And let me stop you for 1 second. You
Yeah.
had help in the home as well. And it was
I
still
did.
difficult.
It
And it was
was-
still
yes,
difficult.
I did.
Even with an aide, it was
Right.
still not easy to
Right.
care for all her
But
needs.
it is the best case scenario. If you
Right.
can keep them at home and get an aide, and it cost a fortune. We had insurance, and you still have to pay, but it is the best case scenario because it gives them some type of feeling of being home. You realize you're losing your mobility, you lose speech. A lot of things have an impact to you. So it is the best case scenario, and you get to see them. You get to make sure that they're safe. They get your meals. You're making the meals.
Yeah, you wake up in the morning. It's like
Right.
it's a regular
It's-
day. You wake up in the morning.
right.
Hi, Mom. How you doing? I'm going to work. I'll be back.
Right. So, if they're capable of that, if, sometimes they're just not capable of that.
Right.
And, in my
They need
case,
more
I was
help.
lucky enough that I was able to keep my mother in my house and, provide the meals and the everyday life.
Was she still like
Yeah.
mobile? She could walk around? Or?
No, she
Okay.
she was paralyzed on one side of the body. Speech was impaired, so a lot changed, and I had to change bathroom doors and things along those lines, so you can get a wheelchair in, things along. You needed to make it handicap
whatever you needed to
accessible.
do, you
right.
did.
But when it got to the point where I couldn't do it anymore, you had to find a nursing home, and it's a really tough decision because you're trying to find the perfect nursing home. And so for me, I just made the choice to keep her as close to home as possible, because for me to get to my house, I got to pass that nursing home every day. So I could stop in for 10 minutes, I could stop in for 10 hours. And that, to me, was, that's what I would advise to anybody to do.
I say that to everybody, and when people ask, they reach out on Facebook, and they're always asking me, what nursing home do you recommend? And I say the same thing all the time, is whichever one you're going to visit, because that's the nursing home that you want your family member at, because you're going to be there the most, whether it's closest to work or closest to home.
I mean, short of it being a terrible place, if there's one right next door to you and it's a horrific place, you got to pass on that. But if it's somewhat decent, the key is to be there. That's the key.
I know when my mom was sick, it was a good thing. You go at different times. You go in the morning, you go in the afternoon, somebody else comes. And it's not that you're trying to keep them on their toes, like
No,
the
you are.
place on their toes,
You are.
but you're trying to keep them on their toes.
You are.
And,
Let's be honest.
Yeah, and
get
if
to
you
know
have
the
to drive,
staff.
if you have to drive 20 minutes to go, you're going to go the same time every day, and they're going to be like, oh, Paulie's going to be here at 3. Let's get in there and clean her up.
Right.
And if you get to know the staff, if you take your time to introduce yourself, get to know people, they become an extension of you. But that's only because you go there and you put the time in and you start to talk to the staff about their families, and
It's a very good point.
It's if you don't do
Very
that,
good
you're
point.
just another ship in the night.
But they got a really difficult job. They're trying to take care of a lot of people. And you get some people, you could see it, because it's in everyday life. You see people come in and they're like, oh, well, my mother's sheets weren't folded properly.
Well, it is.
They're
you're 100%
ridiculous.
on that.
Those
It's-
people are ridiculous.
There are people that believe that they are signing into the Plaza and the Waldorf,
So
and
true.
you're not. And the people that are working there, they're really hardworking people.
Yeah, they're doing the best they can.
I will say that on average, there's a percentage of them who don't care and they're there for a check. But overall, they're hardworking people and they're underpaid. Like, salaries are not given in areas that need it most.
Yeah, and the people are there because they want
They wanna
like
be
you
there.
said, most people,
They want to be there.
80%.
Yeah. But,
Want to
not
be
to
there to
change
take
from
care
the
of people.
topic, but I think what's important for the people that watch this video is, you're asking for clothes, you're asking for things, donations. I know Danielle a long time, I know Paul a shorter time, but, and I'm not just blowing smoke here, you truly care about the
Oh,
people in the nursing home. So if you're going to do anything, this is the place to do it.
Thank
I
you.
mean, she's always starting something
Thank you.
to go, and I'm not a Facebook guy, I don't follow that stuff, but I know I'm watching the boxes of clothes, you live near me, I see what goes on, I see you running out, at all hours.
you.
So for the people who don't have people, like you mentioned Father's Day, I was in the nursing home Father's Day, and there were people who had no visits on Father's Day. So you're 100% what you're talking about.
Thank
The
you.
little things for the clothes, as a guy, I used to bring baseball caps too.
You used to bring food too, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, I love this story.
That was sort of a
I
problem.
I
love
did.
this
I got
story.
yelled at for it, but I did. I brought food.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
did
Why
what
don't you tell them
any
the story?
man would have done. He brought donuts and coffee to the people who were taking care of his family.
No, that's
It's
not
a
what
nice
that's
gesture.
not who he brought it to.
No, he
no.
brought it-
That's
No,
what
no,
he did.
and of
He didn't
course,
bring
but
it
you
to
can't
them.
tell them they can't have any.
Well,
No, he could
I
give
mean,
I
the
don't-
doctors can, but he didn't have to.
I bring my mom coffee every day. People like their coffee. Give her real coffee. I do it every day, and
and I'm okay with that.
right.
As a
and then
dietitian-
I'm watching people
as a dietitian.
see the coffee in a Dunkin' Donuts, and they're like looking, and
Drooling.
it's you could just see that they wanted it. So I started bringing in boxes of Joe.
Yeah, no.
And sharing it with everyone.
No.
And someone
And donuts.
came in and said, "Where'd all this come from?" I said, "I gave it to them." He said, "You
help
can't
yourself.
do that." Yeah, I did. I actually
Help you said you wanted to make it for you. You like milk and
And I
sugar.
said, "I gave it to them," and he said, "You can't do that." And I was like, "Oh, here's another rule." So I was like, "Okay, no problem." But it wasn't until I ran into Danielle and told her story, and she goes, "What are you, stupid?" She goes, "There's people with diabetes and
But
blood pressure,"
it's not
and I
even-
understood. I did. I understood. But I know my mom has certain things she can't do, but I give it to her anyway.
Well, so it's not about the diabetes and the blood pressure. That's really not the concern. The current concern would be allergies, number one.
Correct.
And number two would be diet consistency. So if somebody's on a puree diet and you're giving them a donut,
Yeah.
they can literally choke right there.
Well, I
So
didn't really do that.
it's not
but
the
I didn't
diabetes.
know.
Just so
either,
you know, I'm okay
No,
with the
no,
diabetes.
right,
They can have a
right.
donut. I'm okay with the high blood pressure. They can have a little salt. I'm
Right.
not okay with a food allergy or a diet consistency. And even as far as the coffee goes, some people need thickened liquids.
And I'm aware of all of that. I just didn't, like the people that I was talking, I'm not making an excuse. I agree with you 100%. But, you forget that these are things that people used to have. And I told you the story of a woman, she had a really high-level job, and she's in a nursing home. She was no different than you and I.
Right.
And
Well,
this
I don't
was
have a
the
high-level
and well, you have a very important job,
It might be important, but it's not
which
high
is
level.
more important than a high-level job because you're doing work for people that really need it.
And the work that you're doing
It's an
is
important position.
incredible.
Thanks.
So, and that's how you got to look at it. It's not always about title.
True. But okay, so now tell us about your mom's experience in the nursing home. How is she? Is she going to activities? Is she
No, she doesn't.
leaving her
But
room?
my mom would not have gone to activities if she was in my house. I brought people in. It's very important. Like this is a great question. It's very important to stimulate their minds. Very important. Either you play music for them, you read with them, you give them games to play. It's very important. It's the old saying: if you don't use it, you lose it. I saw that happening. I stopped doing it. I started to see the struggle with speech. I started to see the struggle with memory. So you need to do those things. Photos of family. My sister-in-law was very good with that. She'd come in and she'd bring in photo albums and, she
Talk about who it was and what they
Absolutely.
did. That is that,
Absolutely.
and like throw names out. Oh, is that Aunt Mary? Because it's not Aunt Mary, but you want her to be like, no,
Well,
it's Aunt
they
Kathy.
will know, like, my mom would
No.
say, "Know you."
Well, they might. Why not?
We're gonna talk later.
Well, I experienced a little bit of this. Is if my mother knew you as Paul her whole life, she may refer to you as Joe. Now, if you're not paying attention, like I would know who she means, and I go, "You mean Paul?" And she'd say, "Yes." She would get it. Not everybody does.
Well,
but it's
I
only
don't-
because I understand.
Right.
If she wants milk, I may have to go through juice, soda, coffee, milk. Yes, but it's a matter of understanding because you're there and you know what's going on.
So I'm not gonna give a lecture on patients that suffer from dementia, but and I'm not saying your mom does, but
She does. She has some. Yeah.
so if somebody said to me, hi, I don't know, like my dad came to visit me today, I'm going to say, how was your visit? I'm not going to correct them. So like, it's really big on not correcting
Yeah.
people
Right.
when they're in the nursing home.
And
So-
I've done that, and it backfired. on
Yeah,
me.
you can't correct them
Totally
because it
agree with
just
you.
gets them agitated.
It frustrates them.
It's very hard.
It's also important to let them do is, certain things like try to open something. Like if I brought in,
Right.
a packaged food,
Right.
she's trying to open. I go, I'll do it. Make it easier. Let them do it.
So
Yeah.
I went to see your mom a couple of times when you weren't able to drop by, and I will tell you that your mom was always in her bed. Like, does she ever get out of her bed?
She's out of her bed. She's out of her bed most of the time.
Okay,
If
good.
she's in the bed, it's because she either really doesn't feel good, or they're very late at getting her out of the bed. But she's generally every day she's into the wheelchair
Good.
by 10 o'clock.
And is she
10:30.
happy there? Does she?
No, she would want to leave in a heartbeat, but I don't have the ability to do that right now.
Right.
If I could do it, I'd take it back out and start it back over the other way. It's just a better way of living overall. Not so
Yeah.
good for you with all the responsibility, but where they are, they
It's
get every-
safer for her.
it is.
Yeah.
Well,
We hope.
she is safe
hope.
where she
Yeah.
is. Not everybody can say that, but I'm in there all the time. And that, to me, is the key. For anybody that has to go through it closer to home, stop in, even if it's for 2-3 minutes, stop in, it's important. If you have any questions, Danielle and Paul, if they don't know it, they'll find it for you, because you helped me out tremendously with all kinds of issues. And people should, share the videos and pass them out to other people.
How do you find the staff as far as communicating with you, how your mom's maybe a medication change or your mom has a temperature?
I have no complaints at all, none.
Okay.
But
And again, it's because you're there.
I stop in, I see the director, the guy that manages the place. I just talk, like I walk in and say hello to everybody, from the receptionist all the way down to the people who are doing the laundry. I know everyone. I was in a supermarket, and I passed a woman in the supermarket. She looked at me, I looked at her.
Where do I know you from?
And it was the nursing home. But that's me. I walk in and talk to everybody, to the maintenance crew.
It's so
important to do that.
But it's also important, let me add, because you don't speak down to people and you're not nasty even a little bit. I will just tell you a really quick story. I got called into a resident's room when I was working in Queens, and I walked in her room and she said to me right away, "You gave me milk." And I said, "Well, I'm sorry that there's milk on your tray. I see that you didn't want it." She's like, "Well, I don't ever want to see that again." I was like, "Really, lady?"
That was the patient?
Yeah, I go, "Really?
The resident?
Really?" Like, just don't be
their
nasty to people.
frustration.
Don't be nasty, though.
I do a lot of people watching in a nursing home, and I talk to a lot of the patients. And some is just a hello, and some is their life story. There's a lot of frustration.
There is a lot of frustration.
You were talking about soda earlier, just to go get a soda, even if you have the money, it's not that easy for them.
Yeah, like we're so spoiled, like, now you just get up, you go to the refrigerator. If you don't have it in the refrigerator, you jump in your car.
But you got to remember, that could be you. Like,
in a second, like we had talked about
one car
a couple of weeks ago.
I could leave
one
here.
of three could be in a
and
nursing home, no problem.
You don't need to be an old person to end up there.
No.
It could just be, as you said, one car accident.
I have a 40-something-year-old in my nursing home now. I mean, and they're never leaving. It's very sad.
Yeah.
I have a good friend of mine. He just recently, I was hanging out with him last Friday. Tuesday, he was in the hospital, and they told him he had a brain tumor. They successfully got all of it out yesterday, and he should be doing good, but that.
Just that. Life changes like that.
He was
Life-changing.
one of us, and then they were like, "Oh, look, this is your next step."
That's why,
Steve,
from what you're
good luck,
doing
bud. We got you.
Is really important. And people, like you say, you don't have a big job. It's what you're doing is really important.
Yeah.
And
Thank you. I
people
appreciate
don't
that.
know that until they're in it. And I got the phone call. I was painting a wall, and life changed for the last
Everybody.
like over 10 years now. Changed. And if you don't have people that are speaking up and caring, and it's really tough on families. Now it gets extended, right? You have, husbands and wives and children and grandchildren. They got to get to Little League. They got to get to dance. You got to stop by the nursing home. You got to make meals. Like, it's demanding on people. So if you can help the people that are running these places and working there and be kinder and, have an influence in a positive way.
Make them feel appreciated for...
So that's what I was going to say about the woman with the milk. She was frustrated, but her family member came at me. And there's no need for that, right? The family member, you wouldn't speak to somebody, you wouldn't talk down to somebody. And when you're speaking to the people who work in a nursing home, please keep in mind that we are all, it's a high level job as far as stress goes, right? We're trying to take care of a lot of people at once. And when you come in being nasty, you're not approachable anymore, right? And I don't want to go over and
Well, part of the
talk to
problem, Danielle, is there's a stigma. Okay, now my experience in nursing, I've had good and bad, and I'm in the same nursing home for the last 4 years. I had bad experiences in the nursing home, but I've had good experiences in the nursing home. Now, management has changed several times. So when you talk about nursing homes to people, just in general, they're like, oh, nursing homes. No one wants to deal with it. So, and I understand it. It's complex, it's emotional, but you could have a positive impact if you treat it the way you're expected to be treated.
But like when you had a bad experience, you didn't just fly off the handle and start like smashing
I
milk
didn't get
bottles on the
nasty.
table.
I didn't do any of that
You,
stuff.
you leave the room,
I
you
went,
go.
I spoke to people, I asked questions, I created accountability in an indirect way, but yet a direct way. And,
and politely, and
there were
obvious
people
kind.
out there in anything, if you go into a CVS, I demand to be serviced right away. All right? that carries over into their own personal lives. So those are people issues. If you're in there for your family, your parent, an uncle, somebody, your grandmother, use common sense and realize that the people that are there. I spend hours in a nursing home. Like the day my mother leaves, I'm going to have what am I going to do now? Like these people become an extension of you over time. So, treat them as people.
Exactly.
I have cell numbers of the people that are in there. They'll text me.
Like the
they
staff,
tell me what's going on.
their kids playing baseball, their cousins
I know
getting
their
married.
lives. I know what they're doing. Who's in school.
But that's the other thing too. They're not robots. They have lives outside of the nursing home, and there's good days and bad days. Like they might have had a bad night with their own family member.
You have nurses. You have doctors. Nursing is probably the most one of the most hardest working careers in this country, and
Agreed.
yet undervalued for the job that they do. And there's nurses in the nursing homes, and the aides are, in positions to become nurses. A lot of them go to school to do that.
A lot of them become LPNs and then RNs.
Right.
I mean, I think what I'm hearing is, or what I want to say is that the people who work in a nursing home like myself, we expect to be treated a certain way by residents because they're angry or they're upset or they're frustrated or they can't communicate, whatever, but not from the family members. That's a totally
But there's got
different.
to be, hopefully these podcasts will become an education component to people, because when you're that person, like I'm that person, just like that, what do I do?
Right.
I'm calling everybody, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? You're looking to make the perfect decision. There's no perfect decision. The best decision is for you to be involved throughout whatever the process.
And respectful.
And, that should be, it's the old, do unto others,
Look,
right? The golden rule.
If I hear that I need to go to Miss Mullins' room because her son wants to talk to me, I'm going over there. But I will tell you that if I know there's a family member that's agitated and nasty, and I know they're going to be nasty to me for no good reason just because they feel the need to be, I'm going to be like, I'll go, but I'm not going to go happily.
Yeah, but it's also, but even from your perspective, there's ways to deal with that. If you know you're walking into a nasty member, a family member, maybe the thing is to reverse it to them. Like, I work here, I care.
Right.
Right?
Well, that's
Yeah,
so what do you
de-escalate them
What do you
before.
suggest to do? Like, I spent my lifetime doing it, so I'm pretty good at it. But
But it's learned.
But
most people don't know that. Most people get confronted
Because it's
and
emotional.
Then the hair on their neck
it's
stands
emotional,
up and they want to
and
go
when
right at
dealing,
you.
like, and I'm not going to say it's not all rich people. So because some rich people they have family
all
members
people.
in there. It's all people, but it's ego. It's all ego. Check the ego at the door.
Please.
And
Because it's not for you. It's for your family member who, when you leave, and it was probably the only 5 minutes you spent there all week,
in a lot of cases, that
and they're all worked up. And,
True.
they leave, and that's the person who's
Right.
really taking care of that
there's
person.
not a lot of visitors. You don't see a lot of visitors.
No, I mean, I'll tell you that in the nursing home I'm at now, we see the same visitors all the time.
Right.
So they're always there. The same ones take care of their loved ones. They're in the dining room with them. They're helping them eat. They're talking to them. They're bringing them food. They're bringing them to
But
activities.
it's the other side that you see
the other
nobody there. And,
85%.
my heart breaks for them. There's
Yeah.
nobody there.
85%, I'm going to say.
The majority.
And
of them
unfortunately, it's not because maybe their kids don't want to do it or can't do it. They might not have any family left.
Some don't
of
have
them
People
don't.
outlive
Some don't
their
have families.
Some have their. I can tell you the stories. They don't live nearby.
Yeah.
Some have
Yeah, they
broken
can't.
families.
You
It's just-
can't.
They come in, they get their ticket punched on certain days, and then they leave. And,
Yeah.
It's very sad.
it's
Bring
sad.
flowers on Mother's Day.
But again, I want to reiterate it because it's important, and I know it means a lot to you that you need to pay attention to what they're contributing.
Oh, thank you.
And
Yes.
you've helped me. You've helped
you.
me go through
Thank
it.
you.
But more importantly, underneath the help, I know that you truly care.
Thank you.
So any donations, you're not making money on it. I know you're
No.
not making money on it because I know it's costing you money. But donations, clothing, I see what you're doing, and
Yeah.
it's only because I live right near you do I see what you're
Thank you.
doing. And I know I helped you unload your truck when it
Oh, right.
closed, so I know.
true.
We carried 15
I
bags.
know what
up.
you're doing.
She lives on the second floor, so we
I
do
know.
most of the work out of
I
her
know.
house, and it's on the second floor. So
Wait,
me and her
most?
son,
Wait, where else do we do it?
me and her son carried 15 bags from my truck upstairs, packed the boxes, and they're ready to go.
And
Yeah,
you are
I
an
do.
advocate. You speak and you call it for what it is. And I would not know what it is because you're on the inside, but I see it because I'm now on the inside, on the opposite end of what you do. And what you both do,
Thank you.
it's important.
Well, we really, really appreciate you coming
Yeah,
here
thank you
today.
for coming
Ed.
in.
Thank you so much.
Anytime.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome.
Okay, so
You wanna
that's
wrap it up?
That's a wrap. Go ahead. Finish
you
it
can
up.
do it.
Finish
I
it
think
up.
I did it
It's
last
all you.
time. All right, I'll do it. Thank you so much, guys, for watching us. Again, if you want to donate clothes, money, anything, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram. The people really like getting it, so please keep sending it, and we can't do it without you. And thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks again, Ed.
You're welcome. Great for having me.
Da 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 da